All right, start the clock because Congress has T-minus 12 working days left on the calendar until meeting their debt ceiling due date. And while both Democrats and Republicans have shared frustration regarding President Trump's stalled economic agenda, a lot of House and Senate Republicans are still not on board. And the question is, are we facing a looming government shutdown if Congress cannot agree? And what needs to happen to get this president's agenda finally moving forward? Steve Forbes, who's wryly smiling next to me, he's the chairman of Forbes Media and a former Republican presidential candidate, of course, and he joins us now for his take on all of this. Based on what we've seen up to now, Steve, I mean, the likelihood of anything, they can't agree on the time of day.
Well, it starts with those words you use, 12 working days.
Right.
In a normal world, it's about 30, or at least 20, twice that. And so they've got to just buckle down and get the thing done. One of the good things about the president's address last night, it restores his authority in a very convincing way. Plus, I think the Republicans, at least in the House, are recognizing what Samuel Johnson once said 200 years ago: the prospect of a hanging focuses the mind wonderfully. Prospect of a political hanging, I think, has got these guys' attention, so they will pass a tax bill. The House will pass a tax bill.
When?
Probably in late September, early October.
Wow, you are optimistic, aren't you?
But the key thing is the Senate. Can the Senate get it done? And the other key thing is they don't wimp out to the Congressional Budget Office and pass, McConnell comes, Senator McConnell leads the Senate, comes from Kentucky.
Yes.
He should know the difference between bourbon and weak tea. So what he should do is make that tax cut retroactive. So it gives a kick to the economy right away, gives people big refunds in April. So you get the investment going, you get the spending going. Voila. Things look a little better.
It sounds great, Steve, but here we are. We've got the budget deadline, we've got the debt ceiling deadline, health care, tax reform, all those other things. Do you really see that being accomplished in just 12 days?
I think on the debt ceiling and things like that, they've recognized...
Will they go to midnight as they always do, or then we have a partial
but everyone knows
shutdown?
It's not going to be like 6 years ago where they nearly let the government default.
Right.
So they will pass something. But I think the big thing they have to focus on more than anything else is the tax bill. Health care can come later. They don't get that big tax bill. Everything is off the table.
We're going to hear from the president tonight. He'll be holding this rally in Arizona. I'm wondering whether tax reform and really starting to barnstorm his way across the country to sell it is I believe that's very important. Your thoughts?
If they come to an agreement, and I think if they pass something or come to an agreement between the House, Senate, and the White House next month, the president will barnstorm. He'll do what Ronald Reagan did over 30 years ago, get his tax bill through. You create heat on Capitol Hill. That works more than persuasion. Heat of public opinion. And so he believes in taxes, not going to be like health care. The White House took a sort of hands-off attitude. This time he's going to be intimately involved, especially if the House gets a good bill through. The president's going to say, Senate, get it done. Wire your senators. Here's their email. Go to work.
But our viewers want to know, I want to know, is this individual tax cuts you think we'll get through, or are we just talking about corporate tax cut? Do we get 15%, or do we settle for 20%?
I think, well, they're talking now 25, some of these wimps.
Oh, no.
But I think they'll go for 15. And on the individual side, if they can't do big reform, what they'll do is across-the-board cut, say 10 or 15%, plus double everyone's exemptions, so everyone sees it in the next paycheck.
Any Democrats on board with that?
No. They're going to have to lose an election or two before they realize the truth. Like when Ronald Reagan, who ran for re-election in '84, took 49 out of 50 states against a pro-tax raising Democrat. Then the Democrats said, hey, maybe we should get on board, got a great tax bill 2 years later in Reagan's term. I think you're going to see the same thing with Trump. They have to lose once or twice more, the Democrats, to see the light on taxes.
Has President Trump lost the support of business leaders? I see daily almost a comment, a snidey comment here. I saw one from Lloyd Blankfein drawing a comparison between the shadow across the earth yesterday from the solar eclipse and the shadow of President Trump. I mean, is he losing support of the big, industry leaders, the business leaders?
They may feel they have to distance themselves from them for a variety of reasons, but by golly, Ash, 15% tax rate and all is forgiven.
Well, listen, it's almost like we push a reset button. The president goes to Camp David. He gets together with his generals. He comes out with a new policy on Afghanistan. Steve Bannon is now out of the White House. Does that help things? Does that uncomplicate, for want of a better word? Does it make it easier to get everyone on the same page?
No, I think the key thing is what the president decides to do, and he finally made, after a long consultation, made his decision and announced it last night.
Steve Bannon was very much focused on, Chinese trade and getting enough money to pay for the wall.
There'll still be that there. And by the way, about Steve Bannon,
yeah,
he'll probably talk more to the president now that he's outside of the White House than he was in the White House, the way how that works.
He'll put a lot of pressure on Mr. Ryan and Mr. McConnell, I have a feeling. All right, Steve
and they
Forbes.
need it.
And they do. You're right. Steve, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.